Everybody, the one and only J. Otto Seibold.
Okay, now I gotta do this. This is my son Ulysses. He's operating the controls here. Yeah. And yes, I'm professionally I'm J. Otto Seibold, and the rest of the time I'm Jim or Dad or asshole or something. And I was going to start off by saying, if you want to emulate my success, if you're familiar with my success at all and want to emulate it, it's too late, because I didn't go to art school, and I think you guys are in art school, so I still legally can claim outsider artist status, even though I've been a sellout many times over. I remain outsider. And so another thing I decided to do is that my current children's book, this is my 20th year in children's literature, and I have a book out, and it's about a sloth who gets lost on the way to a shopping spree. And so I've kind of been imbuing the sloth aesthetic, including this talk where I consciously didn't prepare at all. I decided there's two things that I've decided. One is that I would Google my name and in front of you all, and the other is I have a musician who, I don't know if you see the chair to my right here, it says musician. And he's a real musician because his weird Toyota truck that's filled with newspapers in the back of it broke down. And so he's on his way, and he's going to appear during the show at some point. Or not a show, what do you call this? Like talking with a giant TV. And and do mood music. And so I'm hoping he makes it. I should probably have my phone out in front of me so that you know how musicians are with texting and stuff. So I don't know, what kind of story can I tell you about being myself? I started, my very first commercial illustration job was granted to me by a member of the audience, Mr. Mark Ulrichsen, very famous New Yorker cover stable artist. Is that you still on the team with the, yeah? I saw some baseball guys. And yeah, Mark, the story of how I first found out what illustrating was, I was in my early 20s. I was working, I did drafting in high school, which was like a form of drawing you got paid for, but you had to do it for, you know, bad purposes and stuff like that. So I was in a punk rock band, and during the day I worked at the Clorox company, which I think is like a bit of a stretch on it all. And I was at a movie theater and in line, and with this friend of mine, Tim Carroll. You know Tim, right, Mark? Tim, yeah. And he pointed out Mark, who was also in line, and it was one of those art films, you know, so it was already like a cultured funnel of people waiting in line. And he said, "See that guy?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "That guy draws for a living." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "He does illustrations in magazines." And up until that point, even though I looked at magazines and I drew pictures myself, I never thought that, I always thought that whoever worked at a magazine did cross-hatching, and you know, it was all in-house, and there wasn't an actual job called illustrator. But then I found out there was, and so I thought, I'm going to do this. And I made it my life goal, much like all of you have pledged to do, make art and maybe $100 here and there. And I was going on a trip. I went on like a backpacking trip to Asia, and I thought, during this trip I will learn how to become an illustrator. I will sketch, you know, beautiful village scenes and just soak it in and put it into my drawing. And I went on a trip for like 3 months, and then on the last day I was in the airport in Bangkok, and I was thinking, I really didn't draw anything on this whole trip. And so I drew like the person next to me, and just did a couple of drawings so I didn't feel like I had not kept my promise to myself. But mostly I just goofed off and, you know, ended up at temples and stuff. But then I came back, and I did get hired to do an illustration for Focus Magazine. And that was it. I've been chasing the dragon since. Sweet money for a little drawing. And for many, many years, I was a commercial illustrator doing, the way I got jobs is I would just ingratiate myself to, this is back when people talked on phones. I had a rotary phone, and I would just call up art directors and talk for 3 hours about jokes and stuff. And then at the end, I'd be like, hey, you should hire me. And there's my publicity photo. That it was intentionally ugly and meaningful. That's me as a child. I was raised in Lederhosen by immigrant parents in the city of Martinez. Go ahead and say woohoo. Yeah. And there it is, Martinez, California, home of John Muir. I lived right by the house. I could almost throw an avocado and hit the Muir home, but there was a freeway in the middle. Main Street, that's where all Martinez is a county seat, so every crazy person in the whole county gets to come there, and every criminal gets to go there. So when I was a little kid, we'd just walk around and look in the jail windows and think about the power that our Hamlet held. Beaver controversy. I also received December 5th of some year in the past was Jim Seibold Day in Martinez, and I got a certificate from the mayor that said it was like the new version of a city key. It was like a piece of paper, but once we got it, we drove around Martinez trying to taunt cops so that it could be like, it's my day. So I did commercial illustration for a bunch of years. I got some good jobs and a lot of ones that were hyping how to make money on the internet. At the end of my career doing commercial work, I actually sent the same illustration to 3 different clients because everyone was asking me to. It was like, I don't know, early mid-90s. And everything was how to make money on the internet. It was the pre-hype to get everyone to be like, this is our revolution and take it out of here. And wow, that's me. I haven't seen that one before. Was that me skydiving? No, bummer. I like some of these other people. That guy looks like me. No, yeah. Story of my life. I don't know. I got sick of commercial illustration, and I decided to sink or swim on the nature of what I was doing with children's books because I made up the story, I made up the drawings, and it didn't hype the internet or shopping or technology or all the other stuff. I was just tired of pimping. Oh yeah, it's kind of hard to tell, but that lizard is peeing on that fence. I have a firm belief in children's books to reward repeat reading, and I just put there's stuff that it doesn't have a story. There's little tiny things doing things, but every kid I talk to has a reason why they're doing what they're doing, and it's the 90th time they go through the book, there's still a small creature somewhere saying something. I kind of ripped it off from H.A. Ray and Curious George. He always had little snails smiling in the corner. And I thought, that's good children's book work. You need extra characters smiling and watching. How was the visual element? I'm not even looking. This is, So then I started doing books. I had the first book I did. This is my 20th year, which I'm going to say over and over and over because I don't even know what material you get with this anniversary. I know it's not gold. I know it's not silver. Does anyone out here know what the proper material for a 20th anniversary is? What, rain? Angel dust? Is it paper? Cloth? Silk might be nice. I don't know, but whatever it is, I'm going to get some because it's my 20th year, and I get some. So the first kids book that I did was here comes my musician. This is going to get better all of a sudden. Musician, hello. This is a visceral demonstration of what working artists do in the East Bay right now, out on the streets, outside the halls of academia. We wander around with dead batteries and and gigs. It's a gig, right? This is a gig. This is Joel Robinow. He has a band called the Once and Future Band. If you ever get a chance to go out to the clubs when you're not doing art homework, I really recommend it. It's like Steely Dan times Yes times Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Joel's going to provide some mood music while I ramble on. The first book I did was with Viking. I was very excited because it was the home of, it was like 1991 when I got the contract, and 91, yeah, it was a great year, Joel, 1991. I believe D-Light was on the airwaves. There's a little thing called Leaders in the New School. And so I was living in New York, and how I got hooked up with Viking, everything I can tell you about career advancement is inapplicable to your own lives, because the way I got into children's book publishing is I was definitely sick of doing commercial illustration. The more money I got paid, the more I hated what the work was, and I just did it with sort of like a secret squirrel, like, screw you, pay me. You know, I don't know, my corporate feelings were complicated, I guess, at the time. And I was visiting, I don't know if you're familiar with Lane Smith and John Cheska's books, Stinky Cheese Man and True Story of the Three Little Pigs. And he was killing it. He was at Viking, and he was like selling 1 million copies. And I was hanging out with him, eating a sandwich, and we went to his house, and he opened up his mailbox and pulled out a check for a whole bunch of money. He's like, look. And I was like, what's that? And he was like, it's from my book. And I was like, you should introduce me to the people at your publishing place. And then he did. And I went in, and I didn't have a real story. I had the beginning of an idea. This is like how it used to work in dreams and stuff. This is back when like venerable, older, like women of publishing in New York City would take you still for 3 martinis at lunch on the credit card. Like in 91, it was before like basically publishing in the later 90s got bought out by Bertelsmann and gigantic Vivendi type corporations. And this is my political Occupy drawing. I feel like Occupy is the junior high I went to. Like they're going to have a reunion, but I'm not sure if I'm going. Yeah, so I went in, and I had an idea for a dog that gets invited onto a plane or onto a talk show, and has to take an airplane to get there. It was called Mr. Lunch Takes a Plane Ride, and is because at the time I could only draw, good work, planes and dogs. So I limited my narrative to these 2 powerful elements, and. I got sued by Golden Books, the Western Publishing Golden Books. They saw, when I did the book, I was just like, what's a children's book look like? And I thought, oh, it has a spine with little drawings on it. But it was because I looked at Golden Books when I was a kid. And so when this book came out, they sued me. And they said, because it was like an olive green color, and they said that the olive green resembled too highly the gold color. You know how color works, you know. If gold's not shiny, it kind of is olive green. And so they sued, and the way that the suit was settled was that I would change the color. So when I changed it, I made it more gold on the second printing, and then said, we changed it. I've also been sued by my favorite, I mean, not sued, but threatened with litigation from an enterprise called Kris Kringle Enterprise, which was the licensee, or the holder of the license for the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer song. So I got a fax one day that was from Kris Kringle Enterprise. It was a cease and desist letter that explained how Rudolph has been exploited for 50 years in every country, like just jamming Rudolph, like we own him, and just back off. And but my publisher wrote back, and there was some parody law that allowed us to continue to allude to the very powerful and very litigious Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. He's going to get you. So, Joel, would you like? Are you feeling anything from what's been spoken so far? Well, you got it. You got the mood down. Do you want to sing a few words? I gave you the microphone for a second. this is Joel Robinow. He's gonna interpret his first few minutes on stage here with some music.
What I miss, guys? Fill me in later. How's Jim doing? Not bad?
Can't tell either.
Not bad is not good, though. All right, Jim, get back up. You need to win these guys over. Shadow Puppets, segment 2.
Is that a song? Okay, I'm back. At some point, I'm going to ask you, Joel, to play Surrey with the Fringe on top. I hope you're up for it. So first book and another book and another book and another book. I did the first one was Mr. Lunch Takes a Plane Ride, and I followed it up with the syntax clever Mr. Lunch borrows a canoe. He takes a plane ride, borrows a canoe. And every one of my book, I tried also to be responsible to the idea of a moral to the story. So in Borrows a Canoe, it's all the manners and behaviors around borrowing and returning, but it's very much masked into a deeper, pointless story about fear and boat travel. Oh, this is Yuli. Can you hit this? Go back one. There's when I did the Free Lunch was the third Mr. Lunch book. There's only 3 in the trilogy. But if you go somewhere up here, no, lose that one. There's a picture up of Mr. Lunch in jail. That one. This was in every one of my books, like since I'm talking about being sued or near sued, I think pretty much in every single book I put a licensed character of some sort. I've had Pikachu and Hello Kitty and Where's Waldo is in one of my books, and a pretty big line of other guys from other books, and with the hope that I would it would be called out and somehow I would have some publicity over the fact that I was a thief. This page, I don't know if you know the original Curious George story, but it's I think the first moment in children's literature when it's the first time a character goes to jail in any children's literature. So my Mr. Lunch character is wrongly accused of some. He's arrested for being off the leash at the park, but his response is, "I don't even own a leash," and they carry him away, and he has a bird friend with him, and the police say that they should probably arrest the bird too, but they don't have a cage or a jail small enough for birds. So he got to go free, and he eventually frees Lunch. But anyway, this is very much aped from the exact page layout of some Curious George. I find stealing ideas is one great way as an outsider artist to be, I can't be shamed by the community. So I can just hang out on the other side of the fence and listen, oh, that's a good idea, I should do that. And in fact, I've used Illustrator since Illustrator, the program, since it was called Illustrator 88. I currently use Illustrator 10.0, so I think I'm about 15 versions behind the current, Mega Titanium Suite X1000. God, I was cute. Look at that. Whoa, that looks like some Japanese ripoff or something. Man, there's a right. I'm still here on a microphone. I forgot. I don't know. Let's look at some other stuff. I'm going to show you a video that I did a year and a half ago. There's a TV show called Yo Gabba Gabba, and I did a year and a half ago. I did this animation with them, and don't let it play just yet. But just recently, I wrote an email and said hey, is that ever going to be on air? Or can I show it to my friends? Because I'm supposed to keep it secret. And they told me that they were having contract problems with Nickelodeon, and the show wasn't being shown right now. So they advised me to put it on YouTube and see if they told me to take it down. So I put it on at YouTube, and they haven't told me to take it down, so it's still here to view. Joel, are you ready for, you want some water or something? Okay. This is going to be loud. So they sent me a song. This is Belle and Sebastian doing a song called You Can Do It, which is, you'll see, pretty inspirational. And the story, they told me that the characters would be owned by Gabba Gabba or Nickelodeon, so be careful about what I put into the thing. So I made the central character a box of detergent, hoping I would never need a box of detergent character in the future. I sold them off. And also I put this box of detergent in most everything I do, so that, you know, I guess I'm just lonely. I want people to call me and be mad. Anyway, ready? This is a presentation. I hope it's not blaring, but I hope you can feel the spirit of You Can Do It. Go ahead, you'll hit the little button. Yeah. Ta-da. Oh, yeah? I have a whole bunch of really terrible short art. I give myself 10 minutes in iMovie and just take all the weird leftover film. Like, every time I film something where I really wanted to take a photograph, but the camera's set wrong, and I just take everything and make small. I encourage you to watch the very, very bad films of bad videos. Good checking. What other one is there? This one compels me. Does anybody here have John Hersey as a instructor? Do you see him walking around whistling singing about ducks and punk rock in the old days and stuff? John Hersey, when I started doing illustration on a computer, the only person around that I thought was doing good stuff was John Hersey. He had like pretty much a weekly illustration in the San Francisco Chronicle. Do they hire illustrators still? No. So I would see what he did, and then I would think, how can I copy this without him being mad? And then I would do something, and I was getting a little bit of jobs here and there, and you know, I think some of his friends were like, dude, that guy's ripping you off. And I was like, no, I'm not ripping you. I'm honoring you. I'm deeply obsessed with what you do, and I'm using your unique voice to find my own. Wow. This is my dog, Pojangles. He lives in my place. He was bit by a husky on the neck last night. It was traumatic. But he's going to be okay. Jesse's dog bit him in the neck. What? Seriously. Yeah. It went down like, it went down without warning. Am I doing okay on describing the unique journey I've made through the commercial arts? I'm not getting a sense that I'm doing a good job. Do other people do a good job? Like,
You just have a questionnaire that they can answer afterwards.
yes. Yeah, on your way home, you can answer my questionnaire. What did you feel like? Oh, this is, I don't know, I was broke last year, like 2012. The world didn't blow up, but my financial reality did. I don't know if everyone else did. I seemed like I just started telling everyone, like, people would say, like, I really want your book, but I don't have any money. And I'd say, all the coolest people are broke. It's cool. But so I started making sloth T-shirts to generate cash, and one of my methods has been to get celebrities to wear the shirts. So I don't know if you saw the, oh yeah, the bird right there. But I got the singer of the Pixies to wear one, and he's like, see that one there? Yeah. And I put it on Facebook or whatever, and somebody wrote on it that they'd been a fan of Frank Black Francis for 20 years and bought, videos that were illegal and what do you call that stuff? Underground. Bootleg. Musician talk. And she wrote that she'd, seen every movie and Psycho fan, but she had never seen him smile ever. And so... and I like that he chose the Alpine background because it proves he's an artist. He's in tune with today's meaningful symbolisms. Yeah, T-shirts, I love it. This is this celebrity. I don't know if you recognize because you guys are kind of younger, but I believe it's Jack Benny wearing famous comedian. I think he was famous for saying, "Take my wife, please." I think. Or maybe it's Henny Youngman. Does anyone know? Who's this? Mark, you know. It's Henny Youngman? Yeah. He's well. It's not Lenny Bruce? Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's at Rochester. Wow. And he played a violin. Check out his stuff on the YouTube. You won't be sad. See? He looks serious. Okay, I can show you now something else from the worldwide internets. That is something from here. I did in the year 2000, pre-9/11, this massive Flash web page, and it's called Bubble Soap. Yuli's going to now push a button, and it will come to life before your eyes. This is a Flash project that I did with a couple who lived up in Portland. It was kind of like being in a band. I would just draw Illustrator files and email them, and the next day I would come in and there would be an animated version of what I drew. Then we would talk on the phone and say, like, I think there should be some empty soda cans in this one, or just make up some more stuff, and I would draw more and then send it. And it was very fluid, very creative, and I'm not even sure I've seen everything on this, but the way you get around it, we did a navigation of a little bubble that always gets you back to this page. Yuli, would you like to choose something exciting? Maybe the horses, maybe everything. The motto of this whole, like, it really is very, very deep. I don't know what kind of coffee they drink up in Portland, but these guys made stuff. It was endless. And so the motto was no click unrewarded. Like, anywhere you go, anything you touch, something should happen. I think this is a Pennyroyal and Pumpernickel. They were going to have a talk show, and I think there's the beginning of their episode. You want to make that go? I think it involves peeling out. Music is stolen from Tom Jones live in Las Vegas with the $1 Million Man, Jane Doe sound.
Hello, Pennyroyal.
Hey, Pumpernickel.
Look, over there. It's bubble soap. Oh.
All right, click that bubble. There's a host of characters. The bubble soap are they're a band that's not very good, and they got a gig being the house band on a horse talk show. And the drummer, if you click on that guy there, you have to catch these guys. It's hard. Get him, click. Yeah. So the drummer has dual identity. He's both a drummer and then he's a superhero of some sort. I think he changes his outfit. There he is. His name is Ultra Mo Money. And I think if you play episode 2 of those, it's a heartwarming tale of a spilt drink and some birds. It's a lot of city. Do you want to sing a song about that, Joel? What you just saw there? Oh, music by Joel. Yeah. I did do a little preparation. Back in my time machine. Yeah. So I think, I don't know, I've done a bunch of books. The very latest one is called Lost Sloth, and my editor and champion of contemporary book design, Brian McMullen, is here in the audience, and he's brought the books as I haven't seen them printed, and they're in a box right here. So maybe I should go ahead and bring Brian up. Is anyone familiar with Brian's work? He works at McSweeney's, does a fair amount of varnishing and die cutting and angular binding. Brian, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, this is always a magic moment in a established children's literature stalwart veteran. 20 years, paper, cloth. Yeah. It's not gold, but there's gold on this. So. When I get books back and they're finally the truth, the edition, the multiple, there's something deeply satisfying as a human being. It's like having 1 million babies that are all the same, and like you can. Some people can buy your baby, and you can give some babies away to friends and stuff like that. And when you first get them, like right now, this is it, right? This is something that, what's it? The industry term, advanced shipment.
Advanced shipment, yeah.
This is advanced shipment. So
25 copies there.
So there's 25 copies in the continental U.S. Is that right?
In the continental, this room.
Yeah.
We've got like 100 total.
100 total.
Sending them out to the New York Times and places like that.
New York Times.
Babies.
A million babies. Yeah, so it's so initially when there's just some, like a lot of times my advanced copies have just been 1 or 2, you know, like and my friends say, "Let me see," and I'm like, "Sure, you can look at it," but the whole time they're touching it, I'm like thinking, "You got to give it back. You can't have that. Give it back." And but when a huge box shows up, or what's coming, like a boat?
Yeah, we've got a boat coming.
Big ship's going to come across from where? Where do these get made?
These are being made in Shanghai.
Shanghai, that's in Canada. Yeah. Canadian printing is totally ethically awesome. Everyone knows that. Even the Canadians. So, so when the massive boatload shows up, then I can throw them like this, the way Snoop Dogg throws out weed, you know, just like boom, 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 boom. But right now they have a mathematical value of 100 divided by all of us, everyone. Yeah. It's a very, very powerful time.
Totally.
So, but anyway, so it looks. What do you think? How do you feel about it when a dream becomes a reality?
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think that, you know, something about Jim's work. I'm hiding behind this pillar over here because I don't know. The internet's here. It's hard to compete with.
You should talk into this clothes hanger.
Beaver controversy, and these folks have to be reading. So I'll just say, So here's something about, so as Jim mentioned, 20 years, 20th year in children's literature.
Paper.
Pretty exciting. I think it's the diaper, maybe the diaper anniversary.
Yeah.
But so, let's see. Something about your work that I really like is you do all these paintings, you know? And even though you've done all your kids' book work on the computer for years, you do all these paintings, like you have that.
Oh yeah, the whole thing with computers is I've always hated drawing on a computer.
Yeah.
And it was just, I was impatient all the time with paint, so it would just turn into gray or brown gray, grayish brown.
Totally.
When I painted, I couldn't wait. And so computers, like the undo button is a pretty great magic trick for, you know. Yeah. I've spanned the era from like where you couldn't draw something or look at a bar fill in or the rainbow wheel, all that stuff didn't exist. And just like when I first drew in the Illustrator, you couldn't even work in color. You just had to, you had to look at the line. Everything was the vector black line stuff, and then you could peek at it in color, and then you had to go back and work and
you had like toggle Command K or something.
Yeah, it was bad.
But so with this book, I thought it would be fun to bring that silkscreen or actual tactile aesthetic of your paintings
I think
to the cover of the book. So the cover is 2-color silkscreen plus this gold metallic foil on raw bookboard. So it kind of has this sparkly quality.
I feel like you're creating a Zen oasis in the Barnes & Noble shelving area. Like everything else is jumping out at you, and this is saying like, hey, you got a friend in this room. Come on over.
Check out the sloth.
Yeah.
Check out the sloth.
It goes a little slower.
I like the smell of the ink. The smell of the ink is something else. It smells.
Is silkscreen a different smell?
It has a real kind of, you know, vinyl. It smells like a new bumper sticker. For those of you who like the smell.
What do you think of that smell?
It's nice.
The edge smells good too.
And the other fun thing about the book is the barcode peels right off. You can just take that off.
Removable barcode.
Get that out of there. Get the barcode out of there.
I'm going to do it right now.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see if it leaves any goop.
This is the first unbarcoding of the book.
Oh, wow.
I think it should be goopless.
That's a very beautiful area right there.
Yeah.
I've had a problem, and I notice you don't use this, but when you pick up a magazine and it has a CD that comes with the magazine, but it's connected by boogers.
Oh,
like,
right.
Like those little streams of boogers. And those things, like they get, I don't know what to do with them. Like, other than
that's the best thing.
Lose myself in it. Yeah. What else do I do in my career?
I think
Would you like me to read through this book in the PDF form that's on the screen here? And okay, thank you for bringing the books up here so much. Brian McMullen, celebrate. He worked for Cabinet Magazine prior to McSweeney's, which is the best magazine. Straight up props. Okay, Yuli, if you can slide to the beginning of the book, we're going to go through this. Does this have the Go Sloth Go extras? That might not. I'm not sure. You know what? I'll just read it from here. I'm old, so I have to put on.
The tone of everything is a dark tone.
Like sleazy, something
death.
Something you don't put in your journal. A deeper questioning of self. Yeah, that's the schnit. Okay, this book is called. This is a cover that didn't exist. You can see the difference. The silkscreen versus, I don't know if that's fear or joy or something going on this animal's face. I've created a word called slothportunity, which is the condition, and I really recommend this. This is how I've gotten by most of my life, is there's something that somebody says, like Tuesday, you got to do something, and you're like, okay, yeah, Tuesday. And then Monday night, you haven't done it, and you reach the moment of slothportunity where doing it isn't an option, but because you failed, you're in a space where doors open and you see the new way to actually complete the task that never would have been available should you have planned or carried out any diligent approach to the so it's called slothportunity, and it's just like they abound if you lay around, you know. I like to sell my ideas with rhymes. Okay, so let's scoot up a little bit. Beautiful, Joel. Thank you very much. I felt that one. Okay, scoot up a little higher because this is End Paper TK. That's a concept album.
Yeah, there
Yeah, you can do that. Lost Sloth. My name, because it's 20 years, my name's above the title, right?
Above the title.
Yeah, normally it's below, but on your 20th year, you get to go above the title. And it opens, I wanted to dramatically open my narrative with a character asleep, so that it's a sloth. And when I came up with the idea of the book starts with it sleeping, it had been playing its 3-string instrument. How many strings you got, Joel? Yeah? And then I thought, how long could I keep my main character asleep at the beginning of the book without people not buying the book? So if we scoot up one, oh wait, where are we in this? There's somewhere sleeping. Oh, he wakes up early enough. And he's woken by the telephone, and you can see he doesn't get a lot of calls because he's in that stupor. For me personally, whenever somebody calls and I've been asleep, I actually out loud practice saying hello 2 or 3 times before I answer the phone. I'm all like, first, now you can tell who's calling, so it's like, okay, I'm going to talk to them. But it's like, hello, hello, and I try to make it sound really I answer the phone and say hello, and they're like, oh, did I wake you up? And that's everything I was trying to not have be the conversation. So I deny it. I'm like, hell no. I've been super awake for a really long time. Oh, yeah, one of the features, I wanted, sloth has a reputation. In fact, it's one of the 7 sins, sloth. In fact, it's the best of all the 7 sins because if you practice sloth, you really don't get around to greed or lust or, what is it, murder. Black murder, bad, terrible. I don't know. So choose sloth first because it'll be the gentlest road down sin highway. The sloth has a very decorative. The sloth's apartment should have socks and empty milk containers and sloth environment. I haven't studied up. I really should have checked that. People are asking me biological questions about sloths now. Like, you did that sloth book. Yeah, what do they eat? And I'm just like, well, it's a cartoon. I don't know. Yuli has a fact about sloths.
Sometimes when sloths are climbing trees, they grab their own arms thinking it's a tree branch and fall to their death.
That's different. Something to learn from. So I wanted the sloth to have really up-to-the-minute decor in his apartment. I have no idea how the sloth maintains his apartment because it's been a struggle for some humans, I know. One part of his decor is he has used hotel carpeting. There's a little banner above each anchor that says hotel carpet, so you can tell it's the real deal. Oh, I'm supposed to be reading this, right? Ring, 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 ring. Oh, yeah, hotel carpet.
Yeah, that's what
You guys all have that natural ability to depixelate, right? Like we've evolved. We're there now. It's like enhance, sharpen. Ring, ring. That's all this page says. Ring, ring. Okay. And on the next page, the sloth, he goes to answer the phone because it's ringing, and we all know what you're supposed to do. And he fails. He falls off the chair and enters. The phone's still ringing. Ring, ring. The phone was ringing. Ring, ring. Sloth knew he better hurry and answer it. Hurry, Sloth. This has a chorus element to the book. Ring, click. Sloth didn't hurry fast enough. There was a voice talking into his answering machine. According to the voice, Sloth had won a prize. The prize was a shopping spree. Sloth was surprised and confused. What's a spree, he thought. And then in the image, you can see everything is being covered, but it's all in the answering machine message. He still didn't make it there in time. But this is pretty much how I listen to answering machines too, on the floor, looking up. Is this an important call? Should I reach up? Okay, let's bring it to the next page. Sloth had only 3 hours to claim his prize, and the store was far away, for a sloth at least. He would need to hurry, so he jumped out his window and zipped down the clothesline. And I wanted my sloth to have action gestures, like, Bruce Willisy. And I was proud of my depiction of a rock band shirt in this. It's got lightning bolts on the R and the K. and that's rock and roll. Right, Joel? Lightning bolts are rock and roll. Yeah. Yeah, that's how you check. Yeah, look for the bolts. Okay, we'll flip up. And he went down the line, and he flew over the backyard fence. Bink! Okay, up we go. But oops, Sloth just missed the 532 bus, which is accurate to the image. If Sloth wanted a special prize, he'd have to find another way to the store. Hurry, Sloth! And there's a mysterious character in the back of the bus that several times crosses paths but never affects the story, and it's kind of a mean duck that's always... And on the back of the bus, there's a public service advertisement about wind your watch. It's a public reminder, to wind your watch, and it's about time. Up we go. All right, I feel like I'm now doing the narrative flow here. So Sloth decided to try something he never tried before, a shortcut. He entered the park and began moving slowly through the trees. Hurry, Sloth. And there's a character who also doesn't figure into the story, but he found an acorn. It's a fox with an acorn. I figure like maybe he'll be a book later. When I need ideas, I just go back and find like who's unemployed. Am I doing noises in here? The shortcut was working well until he stopped to think about which way to go. Sloth became sleepy, then sleepier. Oh no, watch out, Sloth. And this is Yulia has highlighted the political Occupy feature. And my dog, Pojangles, is featured with the ball behind him, which is anytime we go to the park, he's ready for you to throw the ball, but it's already been thrown and it's on the ground behind him. And also this enters the element of the ice cream vendor who has an issue with a black bird. And so, okay. So, and then he fell out of the tree and dropped right into an ice cream cart. The ice cream man never saw Sloth. He had his eye on a bird. And you can, I don't know, this is a little bit clipped, but there is a bird in the tree part, like right here. Where? How do you do the bird thing? In the real picture, it's there.
It's like falling music.
Falling. When Sloth awoke, he was the most lost he'd ever been. From a cliff high above town, he could see that he'd never make it to the store in time to claim his prize. Hurry, Sloth. You're almost there. You can do it. And he is, there's the duck exiting the bus that it would have worked out just fine. I don't know what else is in this picture. Some balloons, a porpoise, bicycle, usual. Up we go. Then something extraordinary happened. In the next instant, Sloth was flying way up in the sky over everything. Yay, Sloth, let's go, Sloth. And this is a moment where I'm going to explain in some point, because it's like a terrible, like I've not explained how he ended up with a hang glider, but I'm going to make an animation and put it on the internet for anyone that has this question. And what happens is the black bird flies down and steals the ice cream guy's hat. He throws up his arms in shock, and the ice cream cart rolls down the hill, hits a hang glider, is about to take off, fluffs the hang glider over just one, as Sloth is yawning, and off he goes. It's like a nickname Mousetrap, I think there's. Up we go. Sloth swooped in front of the Sloth swooped in front of the store, through the automatic doors, and landed on a shopping cart in the nick of time. He was spreeing. Hooray, Sloth. Way to go, Sloth. And everything about a spree is explained here. Funny thing is, when I was doing the book, in my head, a shopping spree is like you get 5 minutes, like pretty much is shown here. You get a set amount of time, and you run around like you're on crack and put everything you've ever wanted, jam it into your shopping cart, and then after the 5 minutes, that's what you get. So when I was working on the book, I thought, Google image search, I typed in shopping spree, and everything, I could not find an example of this kind of spree anymore. everything was shopping spree related. Was it just somebody receiving a large check that said $200 shopping spree or something like that? So I don't even know if this is a valid concept anymore. I think it's, but I'm hoping it makes a comeback. We should do a spree, promo spree. Yeah, a bunch of cardboard detergent boxes that are under, litigious. Where's the spree? Right now, where's the spree?
Where's it to take place?
Oh, it takes place at a place called Store, and I made a logo for Store. I think you can see it up here. It features, instead of a target, it has a cube. I've done work for Target's reading program, and so I'm hoping they'll call me and sue me again for store, the concept of store. Up we go. Sloth was moving so fast that he shot straight through the store and crashed into a big pillow display. Lots of different pillows fell into the cart, and Sloth landed on top of them. He immediately passed out from all the excitement. And I have, since it's been 20 years, I have a Mr. Lunch pillow case in there. Like, I don't know. I don't think none ever existed. But I get to draw these pictures so I can add my own past glories of pillow manufacture. Did this thing get more windy or something? It wasn't doing that the whole time. I've only become aware of it.
You're making more wind.
I'm making more wind. Was there a little microfoam? The store manager was impressed. He carefully delivered Sloth back to his home without waking him up. Sloth gets around a lot without knowing where he's going. What the? Huh? Oh, really? Yeah. No wonder. I've never had such good nostril amplification. It's weird. Thank you, son. All right. There's the bird again. I think the follow-up is going to feature the duck. He's got to step up and villain it some more. Up we go one more. This is about to end, and this very disjointed form of reading. When Sloth arose the next morning, he was surrounded by all the pillows he'd won in the shopping spree. He was so surprised and overjoyed that he decided to celebrate with a one-person pillow fight. Yay, Sloth, you won! And then it ends with the end, really big. You can probably read it from there, right? That was a conceptual sketch right there. So that's it. I've touched it. I've read it. My eyes have interpreted the words. Did I write any of that story? That was your story, right?
It's your story.
You did that story.
The cheering section.
You did the cheering section.
Yeah.
Brian added the chorus of "Hurry up" and "Go Sloth" and "Yay Sloth,"
Yeah,
because
read the word yay. I think
you were reading this book to your kids while it was being worked on,
Yeah.
and the cheering became part of the enjoyment of the book,
Yeah.
and then it made it into the book. Another piece of advice I can give to all you outsider artists is when somebody has a good idea, do it. Take it on. Always trade up. Trade up to good ideas and avoid bad ideas. Collaboration is fraught with all sorts of pitfalls, but if you trade up every time, it works out very well. So I don't know. This has been long enough, right? How long do other people talk?
4 or 5 hours.
Yeah?
You can see if they have any questions.
That's when I stop talking. I'm going to ask for questions. But I heard nobody ask questions at these things. That's it. Oh, the lights are on. You have to. Flicker, flicker. I'm done talking, and I'm going, but I'll talk when I answer questions the same way in the same mic. But does anybody want an arm that they want to put up in the air, and I'll point you out, and you have to say it without being nervous? Yes, Mark. What is it?
Looks like you have your own typeface. How many type families do you have?
I've only done 3. I did some stuff for the Walker Art Center that they use in promotion stuff. I did stuff for Target where it was an actual font. But most everything I do font-wise, I just draw it again over and over. I don't have my own font that I use. All the ones that are made were sold to somebody. But does that satisfy your inquiry? Oh, it's so dark back there. Scream it out. Have a question. It can be a math question. No, there's nobody. Joel, play some bad music to make them edgy until they. You're gonna have to. Oh, okay, it worked. Nobody asked a question. It's gonna be.
You made an animation for Yo Gabba Gabba. And
yes.
I believe wasn't all the other reindeer made into some sort of animated movie?
Yeah. Oh, I guess I should cover. I forgot in my 20th anniversary, as I look back over those 20 years, I did do a book called All of the Other Reindeer, which it was my 5th children's book, and the first 4 had been critically acclaimed and hipster lauded and tattooed parent purchased and stuff, but it wasn't a huge economic moment. Like I was getting praise, I got to do more, and so. And I was out of ideas, and I had a meeting about what book would you like to do next. So I just jokingly said, I'm going to do something called All of the Other Reindeer, and it's about, I had a dog named Olive who kind of looks like the cartoon version. And I drew it on a napkin. I just drew Santa Claus and the reindeer and then a string coming down with a dog hanging off of it. And I said, I want to do this. And I was kind of joking, and I was saying, rationalizing that, you know, it's like the Beach Boys. You do 4 good albums, and then you put out a crappy Christmas record. You know, I don't even like Christmas. Like everything about it was like, I'd done the books. I wasn't selling tons, and I thought, why would somebody buy a book? You know, when do people buy stuff? And I was like, oh yeah, Christmas. You're guilted into it. I mean, I personally, I don't know how you Christmas shop, but I wait till Christmas Eve, and then there's people that I love and I should get presents for. So I spend a whole bunch of extra money on that night to cover for the fact that I blew it to get anything at all. And so, like, to me, that's Christmas, like overspending for love. It's another sloth opportunity. Yeah, trees are cheaper after the 25th too, so keep that in mind. So all of the other reindeer, I didn't take it too seriously, and I was at that time with the evolution of the illustrator program. I was drawing with a mouse. It was before there was any Wacom tablets or any of that stuff, and it was just crude. But then it became a huge hit, and I had to look at it. Was like when my yearbook photo was ugly, and I didn't want to look. You know, it was like the record forever that I didn't. You know, I had weird hair or something like that. So that book, every time I read it, I would look at it and think, man, I wish I drew this better. And eventually there was a 10th anniversary version where I went in, and even though I didn't have to, I fixed everything in it, every little crooked line that I ever had a problem with in all the years of reading it. And then it became a TV show. Drew Barrymore was the voice of Olive, and I believe, is that the song? This is Michael Stipe playing Schnitzel, a flightless reindeer. We can watch this for a sec. Full screen, bro. This far north with no satellite, sometimes tempers spray. Life's hard enough, and now Santa's flight. It's been an awful day. Employment in these latitudes depends. Some of these characters I didn't design. They're just like weird versions of stuff I draw.
So forgive us if we all have attitudes. We're up a frozen creek. We're not so bad. We're not so bad. We're really sweet and funny. We're not so bad, except for that funny. We're not so bad. We're not so bad. We're not so bad. When you walked in, may I be frank? Of course we were suspicious. It seemed you were playing a nasty prank. That's why we got malicious. But we're not so bad, we're not so fearful. Once you get to know us, we're downright cheerful. We're not so bad, we're not so bad, we're not so bad. Now that we know you, if you ever come again, we promise not to throw you. We're not so bad, we're not so bad, we're not so bad.
Yeah, so I think that is, I don't know about all of children's animated properties, but it does have the main characters being thrown around in a gay bar, I guess. There's Round John Virgin, one of the characters is in there. He has the lederhosen, and I think he's a bear. Yeah, so in the show, I was going to say before I was about what the production of the program, like I was all excited, like Mac Groening, it was a friend of mine, is a friend of mine, but I haven't talked to him forever. He told me that there would never be a Simpsons movie, and then there was a Simpsons movie, and then I never heard from him again. So I think he's in a blimp somewhere. But I had the protection of Mac Groening's power to create stuff, and Drew Barrymore and Michael Stipe were the production company team, but it was still just a miserable experience, and I quit the show working on it after a couple of months. All the people it was animated in Dallas, right by Love Field, the other airport in Dallas. And so I flew down there. It was going really poorly, and I thought, oh, I got to go down and talk to these people face to face. And I went down, and when I showed up, they were all in a room watching Jerry Springer on TV. It was like around 99 or 2000, I think. And I was like, hey, I'm here to talk about how to fix this. And they kept watching the show, so I walked around to behind the television and started hitting it on top like that. And I'm like, I'm only here for a day and a half, and we should totally talk. And they kept watching the Jerry Springer show, so I gave up. And then later they took me to something that was a combination of bumper cars and basketball, and they were really into that. Like he smashed into people in a bumper car while trying to shoot a basket, and there was beer or something, but it was a very, very strange experience. I described it as like being on the Exxon Valdez up top on the deck, just in a chair and with a soda, thinking like, gosh, Alaska's so pretty. And down below, they're just like, and running to ground. We're going to question, yes.
Hi. So you have an awesome, crazy personality, which I think is rad. But I wonder, do you have to compromise yourself when you make these books? Like, you have to publish them bigger?
No, I mean, my only requirement for doing the books is the knowledge that they're going to be printed, and therefore, if it's printed and bad, that is like embarrassing. And so I try really hard not to be embarrassed. Like that's a motivator for me to do a good job. Is like when it exists, and I can't change it again. There's no Command Z approach. It's done. And so, staving off embarrassment for my professional work is the #1 motivator. But I don't have to compromise. I make up stories, and I don't know, I've had a lot of freedom. I don't know if I took it or was given to me or something.
But you put the work in, though, right? It seems like...
I work, yeah. Yeah, I used to, when I did illustration, I used to have to lie to people about, because I could do like 6 illustrations a day, but I would have to act like they each one took like 6 hours or something, but I would spend half an hour or 20 minutes. But I didn't want anyone to know that it was that easy. So I was like, yeah, I'll have it for you later, but it was done already. Questions?
Happy.
Hey?
Are you happy?
Happy?
Yeah.
Joel? Pretty happy. I find all happiness comes from compensating for that inner unfillable hole. Yeah I think compensation. I think the reason I draw is I think my miserable childhood where I had to go and control the world through drawing stick figures, crying. None of that's true. But I'm happy. Are you happy? Do you know that song? I'm happy, hope you're happy too. I think it was Nixon. Richard Nixon's did that one. More questions along the line of am I happy? Because that's super easy to answer, even if I'm lying. Otherwise, it's going to be over if you don't ask like some crazy questions. Yeah?
Have a second question? Okay, so I'll ask another question. Do you think that with the children's book industry, publishing slowly shrinking, do you think we'll have like digital children's book or somehow?
Well, I'm against. The opportunity is before me now to make apps and things that are children. I'm against digital babysitting and just handing a tablet to, I think of books as like a participatory, like it's an environment. If there's reader and readee, And when it comes to tablets and like anything digital for kids on is it's so low. It's like, here, take this. I'm going to telecommute and stuff like that. So I'm not. I like the idea that there's like a social bridge, and I try to write for that kind of stuff too. That like the reader has to speak in a funny voice wherever the quotation marks are, and I try to hit all the marks on these books, all aspects. But yeah, my feeling about digital stuff for kids is about the same as like fast food tie-ins for children's junk too. It's like I'm against it. And in fact, for the Olive Show, one of the things that Wendy's did a tie-in where they were giving these toys, and that's when I lost my relationship with Fox, because I was like very much under the impression I could say, no, you can't do that, and they told me, no, we can do that, and I like fought it, and after that they didn't call me anymore. But it happened, and I couldn't control it. So even the things don't imagine anything that you don't want to happen, because that's when it starts. I heard that somewhere. Yeah. What else? Anything? Yeah. It's just you two guys. You can't. It's like in the movie when the army keeps going and like remaking the line, and they inspect. There's only 2 questioners. Yeah, you're different.
Can you describe your process? Process? What's your process?
Process?
For bookmaking?
Process is it's slothy. It's kind of get the commitment. I usually start working when the money shows up. I think like, God, that's money. I should do something for real. And I have the process. All the books are done digitally, but I do a lot of paintings and photography, and the process is it just kind of flows. I think I don't know, process. Yeah, I start, I finish it up later, and it's a process. And I don't know if there's any tricks. So for a long time, I had a drum set next to my drawing area, and if I couldn't draw, because there's definitely days where I try to draw stuff, and it just like it makes me want to, cry. It's just like so terrible. Or I'll be caught in a different style, like it.
When did you start with the tablet? You said mouse. You did Olive on a mouse, or you did Olive on a tablet?
Olive was with the mouse. I think tablet. Like at first, it was just a tablet where you hold it in your lap and look, but that probably wasn't. I don't even know. Maybe Fuchsia or something, or no. Alice in Wonderland pop-up book, I think, had it. But yeah, every time I've always wanted to quit using a computer. I was trying to say this before. Like I don't like it that much. It's weird. It's digital. The thing heats your hand up, and so every time I was going to quit, then they would offer a new version of the program, because it would just like drawing with a mouse or drawing in black and white is not super satisfying. And so I would just get to the point of like, screw it, I'm going to paint. And then, I'd open up whatever, Computer Today magazine, and they're like, new invention that'll keep you using a computer forever. And then I would buy that thing for like, I don't know, $5,000. and then it would have the little rainbow wheel for a while. But every single time now, like you could draw in color, you could draw with a stylus, and now it's just like I like it because it fits in an email. Like it's really hard to email a painting anywhere anymore. But yeah, I don't know. Drink lots of coffee. That's my process, and do illegal things for the thrills that you can bring back to your children's art. Let's get a question from the back, Joel. Let's get one. Hit him with a, what do you got, G chord?
Oh, there's one back there.
You found, oh yeah, in the shadows. You're gonna have to scream like it's an A's game.
Oh. What would you attribute your success to?
Luck, super stupid luck. Like everything's been, and ambition. I'm very. I was so successful that I became de-ambitious. I thought it was cooler. But on the way up, I lived in New York for 5 years, where everyone, out here you talk about vegan food, and there you talk about ambition, and just like, what do you do? How can what you do help me do what I'm going to do with what you do? And it was like completely cool to talk like that to people, and then you get work. Yeah, I don't know. It's unattributable. It's a lot of luck and a lot of will. I think you just like decide you want to do something, and if you keep doing it, you'll. Like I tell kids when I go do school talks that, like, everyone likes to draw, but eventually, like, there's one guy that can draw like a photograph, so all the other kids put their pencil down and say, like, "Here, the artist," and they give up. But I told them the way that I've gotten to where I am is I just didn't stop drawing, like, even though I knew I was bad. I have the same approach with guitar right now. Like, I know I'm bad at guitar, Joel, and but I don't stop, because it has proven out always that you just get better if you are stubborn and, you know, deluded enough to think that you know, it's going to work out. But yeah, you know, make stupid stuff. I learned a word in I was in Paris, and I was talking to this like old jazz guy, and he spoke French and I spoke English, and it was one of those cases where he didn't also speak perfect English. And I was saying, teach me one word that I can use and remember from my time here in France. And he told me a word called sacerdoce, and he said it was like a term that jazz musicians had stolen from like an ecclesiastic church use, sacerdoce. The original word was sacerdoce for religious terms or whatever, but the way it was appropriated, it meant to do something without the idea of financial or any reward at all. Just do it for the pleasure of doing it. And I thought, like, that's the perfect word, because that's what I do too. Is I just, you know, I do it to do it, and what follows is, you know, sometimes I get paid, sometimes I get played. Watch out for Hollywood, kids. Anyway, and if there's another question, I'll answer it, or otherwise it's going to be done. What? I see a hand.
You have another.
Scream it.
What do you enjoy most about your work? Like,
the money. I love sleeping in. I love all the. I mean, I get to look at the world all the time for whatever is going to filter in and become the art. Like, I'm justified sitting and staring, you know, at birds and stuff like that. I can do what I want, and it's it's also super rewarding how people actually respond to what I've created. I mean, basically I create with one idea and it becomes a complete object. But people come up to me and tell me their version, like especially with the olive thing, which is like, it did have big sales, and I did put a grappling hook on the idea of the Christmas tradition, you know, at least for a period of time now. It made it onto the Christmas tree. And now I forgot what I was going to say about it. But just how people make it part of their actual home and life, celebrating Christmas, or, you know, kids' relationship. Everyone's relationship is different. Like, you know that from music, Joel. You write a song and it's about how miserable it is to have to write a song, but everyone else is just like, that totally touched my feelings about my current breakup. And but it wasn't at all what you meant.
What song was about your current breakup?
My current, yeah. It's going on right now. And I'm single right now. Yeah. Sangria. Are we done, or what do you think? Are we all going to get some French fries or something?
We have a limited number to sell if you want.
Oh, I have some copies of the books. You're students and you don't have any money, right? Yeah. Free books, right? No. Arm wrestle. Arm wrestle for books. I'm pretty good, so I'm going to keep the whole box. I also brought some T-shirts. I will barter or take money if you want a shirt with a sloth on it. See, we both have them on, and we both look pretty cool. We don't look like we're tourists with matching Anchor sweatshirts. Hmm?
What do you want? Divine barter.
Cash. Krugerrands. I'm really into Krugerrands. What do you think? Do you want it to be done? All you have to do is applaud, and I will accept that it is over. Yeah. You're all uniquely beautiful, and I would love to get to know each and every one of you.